what has it been like, dealing with me being defensive a lot of times about your needs, about criticisms within our relationship?
For me, it felt like I was crazy because I would try to let you know I really think that you're angry. And you would say, no, I'm not angry, but I could feel it. And so then I was like, well, I know that I'm emotionally high maintenance and I'm got all the emotions running through me, but I thought I was crazy, that I was imagining this whole thing, but I also trust my gut instinct to be true. And I could feel it and I could see it. And so I was just I felt like I was crazy. And then I felt a little hopeless, yeah, he's never going to be able to see this. It's such a block.
Yeah.
And how do I work with this?
Yeah. I mean, I think what that was for me for a long time is I almost didn't want to admit that I was feeling things strongly.
Yeah.
I was so much trying, especially early in our relationship, to not blow it up. I had this quiet control of not wanting to if I lose my temper, or if I am not the one saying, no, everything's okay, it's actually all right, that if I wasn't that, then somehow it was going to stop working, or that the argument would blow up, or and so I was trying to control my emotions, which now, I'm able to look back on, and what I'm realizing is I've been controlling my emotions for a very, very long time. I grew up in a house where, I was the only child for a long time. My sister didn't come around till she was 10 years, until I was 10 years old, right? So it was just me and my parents. And so what I learned early on was just not to show big emotions, to be aware of how other people were doing, and then sort of meld my reaction upon that. Don't upset people, and I formed this personality where I've always been sort of a chameleon. I can fit into a lot of social groups. Even as I was growing up, I could hang with, with people who were, in sports because I played sports, or I could hang out with people in theater because I was in theater.
Yeah.
I could hang out with sort of the cowboy crowd, or I could hang out with the prep crowd. I could kind of and it just formulated really early on. And so what that meant was I was just always adapting my personality to the people who were in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it worked. And I think that's what is hard oftentimes in relationship, is that the way we adapt works in certain situations, but it tends to stop working in our relationship.
Yeah. I think the audience listeners want to hear the story of how it finally started to shift for you.
I mean, you were a
honey badger.
You were half honey badger, half chiseling away at me, of just calling me on my stuff over and over and over. That was part of it. Practicing what I'm preaching has been a big thing. Is we tell couples hey, if your relationship, your partner is your biggest teacher, can you be patient? Can you listen to the lessons that I had to hear it from you? I just let it go. I just noticed what it was. This is that feeling of resentment towards Tara, feeling controlled. That's a whole other game from childhood, feeling controlled. And I'm not going to let it ruin the evening. I'm not going to let it ruin. And before, I would just hold that, I would just bury that coal of anger and frustration deep inside of myself. Mm-hmm. And in this case, I'm able to let it go.